Welcome back, and we're shifting things around this morning. We're starting with our conversation about an upcoming show tomorrow, actually, that's taking place. We have a collaboration between the National Youth Orchestra and an orchestra from Mexico. And joining us to tell us more about it, we have Colvile Young Jr., who's representing the National Youth Orchestra of Belize. And we have Diego Sapien, who is the cultural attaché at the Mexican Embassy.
Good morning.
Good morning, and welcome.
Yeah.
Now, of course, we're talking about a collaboration that will be taking place tomorrow. But I want to start off, let me just chat with Diego for a bit and find out about how this fits into the program under the embassy at this point.
Well, this is the, if I'm not mistaken, this is our 43rd activity of the cultural program of the Mexican Embassy.
Wow.
So we're actually for this year.
For this year.
So and this is like our big end of first semester, start of second semester of activities. So we're very happy. We're very happy that the Philharmonic Orchestra chose to come to Belize. They came into Belize a couple of months ago, 3 months ago, with Mr. Mario Pech, the piano and composer, with this proposal. Came in, have a date. Then I went to Chetumal because he works with the University of Quintana Roo. That are also big sponsors for the event. So, and they talked to the government of Xalapa. So we did all of the paperwork, all of the, it's a 40-something plus band orchestra that's coming into Belize. So there's a lot of logistics also involved in it. And that's something that, crossing the border, passports, instruments, everything. So we needed have everything like checked out properly so they could come in. And yeah, we're really happy to have them here in Belize.
43, that just caught my attention. 43 activities for this semester. That means there are 43 more coming for the second half. The semester is half.
Exactly.
Is that just a function of your work in office, or is just part of our overall plan to be more active in Belize in terms of cultural exchanges?
Well, this is going to be my second year as a cultural attaché, because I came in on 2016, the 26th of August, 2016. So this is like my first year as organizing the complete cultural program. Of course, we have some other events that the embassy does. Remember, here in Belize, we have a Mexican Cultural Institute. There are only 11 Mexican Cultural Institutes around the world. So we're very lucky to have a cultural institute here in Belize. Actually, the only one in Central America. Well, we have another one in Costa Rica too. But we are very lucky to have this infrastructure so Mexico can promote its cultural heritage in Central America. And we started a program called Proyecto Mesoamérica. That is like a cultural ladder, to start to bring cultural events and cultural performances, and just to promote Mexicanity, I call it, in the Mesoamerica region.
Awesome.
It's always interesting when we speak to the different groups that you bring in, and just how eager they are to come and play in Belize. Is it any different with this orchestra?
No, this is not different at all. When they came, when they said, well, we're going to play in Chetumal, they were like jumping on the idea to come into
Vamos
Belize.
a Belize.
Exactly. Let's go to Belize, because Mr. Mario Pech, who I send him my regards, they played last night in Chetumal actually. Said, well, I know Belize, I know the Belize, I have been there for events. I want to bring the orchestra over there. So yeah, let's work on it. And yeah, they were really eager to come into Belize.
They're actually on a tour at this time, and the name of the group, I'll leave you to say it.
It's the Orquestra Filarmonica De Xalapa.
De Xalapa.
It's I'm just going to say, there's the 20th anniversary tour. They're ending it here in Belize. So we're also very happy and content that they came in to do this collaboration with the National Youth Orchestra of Belize, directed by Mr. Colvile Young Jr. here. So we're very happy to do this collaboration.
Of course, we as well.
Yeah.
Now, tell us about what this opportunity means for the National Youth Orchestra to play along with this particular group.
Well, it's always a big time opportunity for the kids them to be able to play along with another orchestra, because in Belize, of course, there's only one. So it's a unique experience for us.
Yeah.
And the kids are all excited about it. Those of us who are here.
Yeah.
A few of them are on vacation and things, so the orchestra is a little reduced at this moment.
Yeah. Yeah. How many members does the National Youth Orchestra have?
It would have about 36 under normal circumstances, but
Okay.
as I said, we're a little bit reduced at this point in time.
Yeah. And is it going to be a joint presentation? I mean, the orchestra from Xalapa hasn't arrived as yet, right?
No, they arrive tomorrow. in the
Yeah.
morning.
So you don't get any rehearsal time together, and
We will, but not much.
yeah, yeah. So what's going to be the contribution from the National Youth Orchestra?
We will play some of our own selections in the beginning of the concert, and then in the ending we will do some joint selections with the Xalapa Orchestra.
Is there anything that the National Youth Orchestra that you are looking forward to borrow, that you're hoping the youths, an orchestra that's been around for 20 years, must have some wealth of experience that you want to rub off? What would you like to have exchange, even if it's not on a deep level, for the kids from the National Youth Orchestra to pick up this exchange?
Well, there are many. There's many. For example, we've been a young orchestra. We are just learning the ropes in terms of organization and organizing, rehearsals and so forth, and even in terms of technique. So, unfortunately, though, they won't be here like for a week or so, where we can have workshops and that sort of thing. But still, just by talking and observing the way they do things and so forth, that's a wealth of experience they can gain from it.
Yeah, yeah. So tell us about the orchestra from Xalapa.
Well, the orchestra from Xalapa, as I said, they're celebrating their 20th anniversary.
Yeah.
They are doing this. They started this anniversary celebration, or the celebration, on last week, on Friday the 13th. They started a concert in Xalapa. Then they did 2 more concerts in Veracruz. Then they did one yesterday in Chetumal. Tonight they're going to do another one at they do it at the State Theater. Tonight they're going to do it at the University of Quintana Roo. I'm sure many Belizeans know the UCRO.
Yeah.
And tomorrow they're going to finish here. It's a 42-member band, so you have winds, you have many elements of a complete orchestra that you can see here, and it's one of the best and one of the most successful in Mexico.
I'm curious, what different, because each orchestra must have something different that it brings, and to be around 20 years, it must have, apart from being well organized, it must bring something different to the table. What is probably different about this orchestra than, because I'm sure there are other orchestras in Mexico, what makes this stand out differently from the others?
Well, this stands out because in Veracruz, in Xalapa, you have one of the best conservatories of music in Veracruz. So one of the best schools to go to study music. So that is one of the highlights of this orchestra. That are the musicians that come out or go in to the orchestra are one of the most professionals that you will find in Mexico.
And just in terms of how, in Belize, I think that, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, that we are evolving in terms of appreciating orchestras. I think the work that Mr. Young has been doing is probably pioneering work in terms of orchestra work. Could you talk to us about how orchestras and how musical arrangements like orchestras are perceived in Mexican culture? Is it something that you guys really?
Yeah, we have a great, we have a history, robust history of classical composers in Mexico. We have like our second national anthem that is called the Huapango de Moncayo. I'm sure if you Google it or you look for it on YouTube, you're going. Most people, even Mexicans, don't know it by name. But the Huapango de Moncayo is one of the most significant songs made by Mexican classical composers.
I won't ask you to hum it.
I cannot do it. Sorry, not even humming comes through. No, but yeah, it's one of the. It's like a second national anthem for us, and we have a great tradition of orchestras, philharmonic, música de cámara, we call it in Mexico. The Bellas Artes theater in Mexico is it's a big one of the best activities to do in Mexico, to go and visit museums and theaters in Mexico.
And Belizeans get to see them here as well, along with our National Youth Orchestra.
Yes.
Now, Colvile, tell us about what you have seen in terms of the growth and appreciation for the work of the orchestra over the years.
It has grown and the appreciation has grown.
Yeah.
But in all honesty, we have not done sufficient in terms of advertising it, in terms of, I think for next year, part of the plan would be for us to do a series of concerts at schools and parks, that sort of thing. The emphasis will be more on awareness and letting kids know that there is an opportunity in that field.
Yeah. And you have had at least four Belizeans who have progressed on to the Youth Orchestra of the Americas, or had some experience there. What does that do in allowing the younger ones who are learning their first violin training at Paluti Music School in looking at it as a career?
Yes, it's like a shining beacon, because they do know that was part of the problem in the past, that there was nothing really to look forward to. You would just play it as a hobby. But things like that. Also, presently, the environment is becoming much more open up to that sort of thing, and the need for musicians is becoming more and more. In fact, it's so bad that...
What do you mean need for musicians? Tell us what that means.
Well, for example, on Monday, I got a call from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, I think, that they had the Taiwanese ambassador coming in, and they wanted a group. But I mean, you're not going to get a DJ, a selector to go, They want a nice, good classical group to play music, and they want music that is also reflective of our own culture.
Yeah.
And so they call us. You're the first choice. Unfortunately, the kids were all booked out to show you all our senior players were all booked out to be playing elsewhere at weddings and things like that. So again, that is showing you that yes, there is a demand for it now, and it is increasing.
Yeah, I've been to a few weddings now where they have their little classical music group set up as well. Now, one of the first things that people assume when they hear orchestra is that it's going to be all classics, and because we don't have that level of exposure to classical music, especially growing up, we think it's not for me. And we were joking about it before, but actually, and I'm sure you can tell us also with the Mexican group, it's a lot more progressive than that, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
In fact, the classics are important because that's your training. That's your training
fundamentals.
Your fundamentals for learning a skill.
You need to know the classics.
But basically, it's all about learning a skill. What you do with that skill afterwards is up to you. Now, if you want to play just Bach and Beethoven, that's quite fine. If you want to use it to play at weddings, if you want to use it to teach with, there's a whole lots of opportunities there. The tourism industry, the demand is becoming more and more, not only for classical, but for argument's sake, a jazz pianist or a jazz group. We have people going all the way down to Placencia now, but of course in the jazz field to go and perform for the in the village tourism down in Placencia. So the demand is there. You learn a skill, and you do what you want with it. But we want you to learn a skill. Yeah.
And so you've done your own arrangements with some Belizean songs as well.
Yes, we have. And the purpose of that is, again, to use the orchestra to project our own cultural identity.
And can you talk to us about the creative process of, to me, I don't know if you consider it risk-taking, because when you try to fuse Mr. Peter's Good Morning Belize with this technical skills that you have with these instruments, I'm sure it creates some challenge. How do you make that work?
There is no challenge.
None?
None.
You're talking to a non-musician, so...
Yes. There is a lack of knowledge in that field. Part of the problem in the past is that you learn classical music to play Bach and Beethoven.
Yes.
And nobody came along, or there was nobody around who would say, apart from Frankie Reno and my father, who would say, try to arrange some local compositions for a classical orchestra. But in the rest of the world, that's what happens, as he was just pointing out to you.
Yeah.
There are composers and arrangers who would do things like this. And that is what we're hoping to change in Belize, that we can get people who would study that particular field and do arrangements and compositions.
So you can get Tanya Carter's Boule with the orchestra playing it.
Something like that.
All right.
What are some of the Belizean songs you've made arrangements for?
Well, we've done Miami, was a very nice one.
Yeah.
It went across well. We did Ding Ding Walla Walla.
Yeah.
We did Baba, that's a Garifuna.
From Adrian the Dog. Yeah.
Right, and that one was, when we performed that one, we had Adrian himself, along with the Garifuna choir. That went well.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then we did Florencio Mes, his selection as well too. We've done quite a few.
Yeah.
Our latest one, of course, is Siempre en mi mente.
Ah.
And that was done specific for this particular occasion because it is done by Siempre en mi mente, as most people would know, is actually been done by Juan Gabriel, who is a Mexican composer.
Yeah.
From
So-
the
And
northern part
very
of it.
loved in Belize.
Yes.
Yes.
And what we've done though is we've made our orchestra kind
Actually,
of unique.
that was like a first encounter, no? That we talked about having, because you told me when we had
Yes.
that first meeting
Right.
at the institute that you were
Right.
starting to do this
Right.
Mexican. Juan Gabriel just died,
Right.
and in 2016. So we talked about the orchestra doing those
Yes.
compositions or arrangement with Juan Gabriel and
Yes.
a lot of Mexican
That's
composers.
awesome. Yeah.
We have done it and now it's come to fruition.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And the thing is that we have added steel band. To be honest, we had a marimba part too, but we can't get the marimba in this time around.
Yeah.
But we've added, so it's going to be done with lots of local influence and cultural influences there as well too.
There's also a tribute to be done by the Orchestra from Xalapa as well, right?
Yeah, it's a tribute to be done by the Orchestra of Xalapa. They're going to play Janitzio from Silvestre Revueltas, Vals Carmen y Polka Los Chamacos de Juventino Rosas. I know that nobody probably knows this, but once that you hear it, you're going to catch it. You know?
Okay, you're
it's
going to
not-
recognize it.
And Mexican classical music or Mexican composers are a bit different than the classical, like Beethoven, Mozart, etc. Because there are danzones that are introduced also in classical. It's
What's that?
it's a traditional Mexican dance. And
Careful,
it's a
we might
traditional
ask you to do
Mexican in a second moment, yeah, I would do it. Yes, I have two left foots. I think. No, but I can dance.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have many elements of Latin, congas, trumpet, so many Latin elements that go into the Mexican classical composer. So it's going to be a fun, entertaining concert tomorrow night at the Bliss. Yeah.
In terms of cultural expose and exportation, is music one of the easier ways to show what Mexican is, what Mexican identity is, and to show the commonality between the persons that you're trying to connect with?
Yes, Mexico culturally is one of the, and I don't want to brag, it's one of the top 5 countries in the world that offers cultural heritage and their cultural promotion around the world. I think since pre-Hispanic times, Aztecs, Mayas, the Olmecs, I say, I think this was like a little bit of a cosmic relation because we brought an Olmec head in March past that was installed in Belmopan, so we have now a group from Veracruz coming in. So maybe something is
And I think because in Belize
It's
especially,
connecting.
our exposure to Mexico is Quintana Roo.
Yeah.
And we don't realize that very similar to Belize, where we have different pockets of different types of culture in
Exactly.
Belize, it's the same in Mexico.
It's the same in Mexico. It's in Veracruz is a very well known for having the harp and the jaranas.
Yeah.
La
And then,
bamba.
like, these-
La bamba is from Veracruz. No, the zapateado is from Veracruz. These women, they have these big dresses and they dance.
Yeah.
They have a unique type of
Voice.
wardrobe that also the musicians from Veracruz wear. They have a scarf, red scarf, and a guayabera, white guayabera.
Yeah.
So that is typically from Veracruz. So then we have many different things. Veracruz, Jalisco, of course, the mariachi.
Yeah.
We have another type of jarana that is done in the northern parts called those Huastecos from San Luis and the northern part of Veracruz. In the northern part, Sinaloa, Baja California, we have the banda, el recodo, you know, those types of banda. It's a heritage from Germany. So we have this very, very great, and also contemporary music too. Contemporary music, Natalia Forcade and Coco, you know, those types of elements that, it's more easy to build a bridge with someone with pop cultural, pop music and Mexican contemporary music,
Colvile, tomorrow night is the concert, all right? But tomorrow night is also another big event. Belize is playing basketball.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
What's the draw in terms of getting persons who would want to? The game is at 9, and the concert starts at
7.
7. So there's
I
time
can
to
do
do
both.
both.
Yes.
Yes.
Go to the
This-
concert first, and then you go to the.
Yes.
You
sold
put
my
on your
delight.
Belize.
That's stimulating
Which
many
means-
different parts of your brain in one night.
Exactly.
Now you can come now.
Yeah.
So yes, it's clear.
Yeah, but tell us about what people can expect when they come to the show tomorrow.
Well, as I said before, you should expect a cultural explosion. The beautiful part about orchestras when they play cultural music especially is that you're going to hear those cultural music being played by very, very skilled musicians. In fact, it's really amazing that you have most of your cultural music not played by your most skilled musicians. And that is something that is going to be corrected as you go along. It was the same thing in Jamaica. If you notice, there's a kind of change now from dancehall when the reggae kind of, what they call it, the not conscious reggae, the slow ones them come along.
Oh, the Lovers Rock.
And then the reason why for that, a person from Jamaica explained, was because of them like beginning trumpeters, people with playing real trumpets and things like that coming in. So the music itself began to grow and became much more interesting. So it's a process.
And you've been doing your own thing here. I mean,
Yes.
adding in steel band and
Right.
and marimba,
Right.
that's a unique Belizean orchestra in itself.
That's what we hope for.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I don't want to miss the opportunity because we don't talk about it enough. But Diego, you know, the Mexican Institute does offer, the Mexican Embassy does offer scholarships to people, including music, right?
Exactly. Well,
Yeah.
it's nice that you bring that up because we have the call has just been opened on last Thursday.
Yeah.
So we're sending out that information to our via email. So
Yeah.
we have mobility programs. We have masters and doctorates, complete scholarships for masters and doctorates. There are 77 institutions, 77 to 80 institutions in Mexico where you can apply for. And if you are accepted in that school, the Foreign Affairs Ministry through the Mexican Agency of International Cooperation and Development gives you a complete scholarship for or the bachelor's or the mobility program. Right now, we are really encouraging Belizeans to start with the mobility programs. It's a 6 months or 1 month.
What is the mobility program?
A mobility
Mastering
program-
the Spanish?
No, a mobility program is that you're studying here in Belize engineering, let's say.
Okay.
But you want to study 6 months
Oh,
in Mexico
for experience.
for the experience.
Okay.
And you can, we are encouraging students to do that. you know,
Okay.
to go 6 months into Mexico and we pay for
Like a semester abroad?
like a semester abroad.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. That's good.
The,
So the call is now open
the
for
call
people
is now
to be
open
able
to go to apply for the scholarship. It ends in September, so you're welcome to give us a call at the Mexican Cultural Institute at 223-0194, if I'm not mistaken, and at the Mexican Embassy too, and just ask for the scholarship. We could send it to you via email, all of the details, and also in our we're going to put it on our website, Facebook, Twitter. So be on the look for that.
And the different programs that people can apply for?
Yeah, every school in Mexico offers a different program.
Yeah.
There's basically
So whatever
anything.
you want to
study. Whatever you want to study.
Including music.
Including music, you know, you can apply for it, and if the school accepts you and you apply for the school, then you can get a scholarship that starts in 2019.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. All right. But in the meantime, let's mark the date down. It's tomorrow night at the Bliss. It starts at 7 p.m. Is there a cost to enter?
$20 cost for
$20.
adults, $5 for kids.
Okay. And where can you get your tickets?
You can get it from the Bliss, CY Music, any one of those.
All right.
Yeah, I would just like to thank the Gobierno del Estado de Quintana Roo, the University of Quintana Roo, of course, the sponsors. I need to plug a little sponsors. The Institute of Culture and History of Quintana Roo, the Honorary Consul of Belize, the NICH, of course, the Secretary of Culture of Mexico, all of the people involved with the Mexican Embassy, of course, the Orquestra Filarmonica De Xalapa, the Filarmonica De Xalapa, the municipality of Xalapa, and everyone who is involved, also for you having us and to promote the event for tomorrow. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Colvile, too. I think it's going to be a great collaboration.
Cultural explosion. That's what Colvile said it's going to be. We get to see the National Youth Orchestra, a part of it, and the Orquestra Filarmonica De Xalapa.
Exactly.
All right. And they're celebrating the 20th anniversary, so it's going to be a great night of good music at the Bliss starting at 7, so don't miss it. We want to thank you for coming in. We really appreciate it. And we're actually going to close off. I think we have some footage of the National Youth Orchestra with their cultural explosion, so that's going to take us out to our break, so stay tuned.